Okay, so let us start solving problems in compression members that is of wherein the difficulty level is like an exam. Okay, so for problem 1, we have an HSS 508 by 101.6 by 6.4, and its English name equivalent is HSS 20 by 4 by 1/4 is used in column AB as shown. The column is braced at midpoint to strengthen the column in the weak direction. The length of the column is 775 centimeters. The yield strength of the steel used is 317.4 megapascal. The service load Q consists of 175 kilonewton dead load. Use LRFD. Okay, so uh, it is sorry, I forgot to mention the question. So the question is the maximum live load that can be applied, no? Yeah, so usually for gravity loads is it usually consists of the dead load and live load. Okay, so before we can compute the live load that can be applied, of course, we need to determine the capacity of our column. Okay, so we have here the section HSS 508 by 101.6 by 6.4. So these are the section properties of the HSS. So this is what we need, the AJB H and the width to thickness ratio. So we need that, and also the radius of gyration, TDES. So if in exam there are more properties that are given than this one, so probably we don't need those. Okay, so for the minimum, this is what these are the section properties that we need. Okay, so first, in order for us to have a guide on how are we going to determine the capacity of the member, so of course we need to check if there are slender elements. We need to do this to identify at the start of the problem if the column will buckle globally or it will buckle locally, meaning there are elements that will buckle first before the buckling of the column itself. Okay, so we check for slender elements. So we will look into table B4.1A in our code. So that is the width to thickness ratio table. And I believe for HSS, so we will use K6 for HSS. So we just have to compare the width to thickness ratios with the limiting width to thickness ratio for slender elements. So meaning if our width to thickness ratio exceeded this value, so those elements are considered slender. Okay. So first, let's check if the side B of the HSS is slender or not. So let's check. But of course, we will check both. So for B over T des, we will just simply compare 14.2 with 35. So as you can see, 14.2 is less than 35. So meaning side B of the HSS is not slender because it is less than. On the other hand, if we compare the width to thickness ratio of the side H, meaning of the longer walls of HSS, so 82.8 is greater than 35.14. So meaning side H is slender, but side B is not slender. But uh, since we have a slender element, so our formula for FCR later will be, for the nominal strength will be FCR times AE. So basta meron lang isang slender element, so mag-iiba na yung formula. Okay? So next is we compute for the slenderness ratio. So we compute for the slenderness ratio in order to determine which axis will the column will buckle. So of course, in determining the slenderness ratio, we need the value of K. These are the effective length factors that can be found in table CA 7.1. Okay, so this is the table. So according to the problem, if we go back to the problem, this is the column that we are dealing with. Okay, and then as you can see, A is A at point A, there is a pin support. So one end of the column is pinned. And if you will look at point B, it is a pin support. Okay, so it is not fixed, but it is pin, no? So usually, this symbol is also used for a pin support. So meaning, for column AB, the ends are both pinned. So pinned at the bottom and pinned at the top. So in our table, we will look for the condition having pinned at the bottom or pinned at the top. And as you can see, that is on column D. Okay, so by default, we always use the theoretical K value unless specified in the problem or in the exam. So therefore, the theoretical K value for the condition that we have is 1.0. So pinned at both ends. Okay? Yeah. So we have 1.0. And of course, if you will recall in the problem, we also have lateral supports because it says that the column is braced at midpoint to strengthen the column in the weak direction. So if the column is strengthened in the weak direction, if you remember, it means that the length of the column is being reduced in this direction. Therefore, when we compute the effective length for buckling about y-axis, so we reduce the length of the column. Okay, so for x-axis, based on the problem, there is no lateral supports provided perpendicular to the x-axis. So it means that for x-axis, we will use the whole column length. And as we have said, since our column is pinned at both ends, so our k value is 1.0. So 1.0 times the length of the column for buckling about x is 7750. We divide it by the radius of gyration with respect to x, 165. Therefore, we have 46.96969697. So, of course, we always use all the decimal values because usually in the problem statement or instructions, so we are not allowed to perform intermediate rounding of the value. So, we always use the complete value. Okay, then for y-axis, so we have, as you can see, the column is reduced to 2. Is reduced by a factor of 2 because it says in the problem that the column is braced at the midpoint. So meaning the the length of the column for buckling about y-axis is being reduced by half because there is a lateral support at the midpoint. So and then the effect of lateral support is also pinned. So if you analyze the effective length of the column for buckling about y-axis, so we also have a condition wherein the end conditions are also both pinned because pinned at the midpoint and then pinned at the top and as well as at the bottom. Okay, so sorry. Mm, yeah. So therefore, our k value for buckling about y is 1.0. Then the length of the column, we reduce that by a factor of 2, of course. So that's why it is 7750 over 2. Then we divide this by the radius of gyration with respect to y-axis. Okay, and that is 85.7300885. Okay, so we compare the two slenderness ratio because we're always finding the larger slenderness ratio because that is where the column will buckle. So in this case, the larger slenderness ratio is with respect to y-axis. So therefore, we use that in determining the backlink stress for the column. Okay, so it governs over the other one. Okay, so let's compute for the Euler's stress or Euler's backlink stress F sub E. The formula is pi squared E over the square of the slenderness ratio. And then we use the larger slenderness ratio from the from X or Y. So previously, so we have found out that this is the larger slenderness ratio. So we use that in determining F sub E. So we have pi squared E divided by the square of this slenderness ratio. So therefore, we have 281.497695 megapascal. Okay. So we have 281.497695 megapascals. Okay. So from FE, we can compute the critical stress, right? But before we can compute the critical stress, we need to check the ratio of Fy over Fe. Try to compute it first, the ratio of Fy over Fe. From the computed F sub E, so we can compute Fy over Fe. So that is simply just the ratio. We get the ratio of Fy and Fe. Okay. So because we need this ratio in order to compute for the FCR. So based from the ratio of Fy and Fe, the ratio is 1.127540316. It is less than 2.25. Therefore, if it is less than 2.25, the value for FCR is, or the formula for FCR is 0.658 raised to Fy over Fe times Fy. Okay? And then we substitute the values. And so we just substituted our Fy over Fe in this one. Then we multiply by Fy. So therefore, the corresponding FCR is 197.992. Okay? Then, so once we have the FCR, so let us start solving for the for the effective area. Okay, so when we are dealing with slender elements, so we have two conditions to consider. So since we only have slender elements on the H side, so we will only check once, okay? Or we will only compute one effective dimension because the other one is not slender. So we will only check for each because that is our slender element. Okay. So using this criteria, if lambda is less than lambda sub r square root of Fy over FCR, it means that the formula for the effective dimension H is just simply equal to the original H. So meaning there's no change at all. But if lambda is greater than lambda sub r square root of Fy over FCR, so we will use this as our formula. So this is the formula that can be found in section E 7.1 of our code or the code we are using. Okay? So so we check the assumption, no? So we have to figure out which formula of HE are we going to use. We are going to use. So lambda, that is the width to thickness ratio given in the problem, that is the 82.8. Lambda sub r, this is the limiting width to thickness ratio value. So for you to recall, let us go back. So when we say lambda, that is the given. Look at this one. This is the this is the width to thickness ratio from the database or given in the problem. And then this is the computed limiting width to thickness ratio. That is the lambda sub r. Okay? So 82 is the lambda, 35 is lambda sub r. Okay, so as you can see, 82.8 is greater than 44.496. So it means the we satisfy the second criteria, right? So meaning if that is the case, we will use this as the formula for calculating the effective dimension each sub E. Okay? So we use condition B. So we are incorrect in our first assumption that it is less than, so it is greater than, therefore we will use this formula. Okay? Next. So using condition B, so this is the formula of HE that we will use. So we already have FCR. We just computed it before. What we don't have is C1 and FEL. For C1, we can get that from the table. And from the table, let's look at the table. The cross section that we are solving is walls of square and rectangular HSS. So these are the elements that we are solving. So the value of C1 is 0.20 and the value for C2 is 1.38. Okay. So after that, we can now compute for FEL. The formula of FEL is this one. We already have C2, 1.38, so we just substitute. So 1.38, lambda sub r is 35, lambda is 82, then we can get the FEL. Okay, let's just check the value. So FEL is 108.89 megapascal. So we already have C1, we already have FEL and FCR, so we can now compute HE. So we just substitute the computed values. So we have, so as you can see, these are the computed values. The FCR that we computed before is this one, 197. And then the original H dimension is 490. Therefore, we can now compute the effective dimension HE, and that is 309.485. So let me just confirm the value. I'll recompute it again. Okay, it's correct. So HE is 309. Okay. So now let's compute the effective area. So we will subtract the reduced area from the gross area. So in an HSS, we have two side Bs and two side H. Kasi 'di ba, in total apat yung sides ng HSS. So we have four sides for HSS. Okay, so this is the formula. So we don't need to subtract B minus BE times T for side B because it is not slender. So even though you do that, it will just give you a zero value because B is equal to BE because B is not slender. So we only do this. So we can now compute the effective area, the gross area minus 2 times. We subtract the initial value of H and the effective value. So 490 minus 309. Then we multiply it by TDES. Okay, so be careful with that. We use the TDES, 5.92. So therefore, EE equals 4,832.706,725. So from that, we can now compute the nominal, sorry. From here, we now compute the, what do you call this? The nominal compressive strength. Okay, so we can now compute the nominal compressive strength because we already have the effective area AE. So we just multiply FCR and AE like this one, and then we obtain the nominal strength. Okay, so this is now the nominal compressive strength of the column. Okay, so according to the problem, we will use LRFD. So we need to compute for the LRFD strength for the column. Okay, so we need to compute the LRFD strength. So the nominal strength Pn, we will just multiply it by 0.9 to get the design strength. Okay. Okay, so after computing the nominal strength, we can compute the LRFD strength by multiplying it by the resistance factor for compression members, that is 8, that is 0.9. So 0.9 times 956.84, we have 861.1568074 kilonewton. Okay, and then from that, we can now compute the maximum service live load. Okay, so the demand that the column can receive is 861. So if we're going back to the problem, what we are going to find is the service live load for Q, but this is not directly the demand of the column. So we can find relationship from Q and the demand of our column by summing moments about point C. Because we have reactions at C, so para mag-cancel yung mga reactions kay C, we can sum moment about point C. So we have the PU, ang moment arm ni PU papunta kay C is 1.5, and then the moment arm of Q papunta kay C is 2.5. Okay, so we have, so by summing moments about point C, we have Q times 2.5 equals P sub U times 1.5. So substitute natin si P sub U dito, makukuha natin si Q, and that is 516.6940844 kilonewton. And then from that, we can now compute this is now the ultimate load that we can provide for Q. But remember, according to the problem, it already has an existing dead load of 175 kilonewton. So therefore, the remaining live load that can be carried by the system or by the live load Q is, we just equate this to the demand using the load combinations for LRFD. So we have 516 equals 1.2 dead load plus 1.6 live load. So therefore, we can now compute the live load equals 191.683 kilonewtons. Okay? Any questions? The lateral movement in y direction of a WT 460 by 144.5 is prevented by an additional restraint provided at the flange of the WT. Determine the nominal strength of the compression member using Fy equals 345 and L equals 2.0. Okay, so these are the section properties of the T-shape. And then if you wish to compute R sub O, take X sub O equals 0 and Y sub O equals Y minus 0.5 T sub F. Okay, so if R sub O is not given in the problem, so there's a formula in the code on how are you going to compute that. Okay, but from database, we can find it in our database. So the R sub O for every T shapes are given in the database. So we can simply use that. But if it is not given, So we have to compute based on the provided formula by the code. Okay, sige. So next, so similarly to what we did in the first problem, we need to check if there are slender elements. So we have a T shape. So the flanges of the T shape, we check that by comparing the width to thickness ratio 4.81 by the limiting width to thickness ratio. 4.81, we compare 4.81 with 13.48. So B over 2TF is less than lambda sub R. Therefore, B is not slender. How about for the stem of T's? We compare 23.8 with this 13.483. No, because the stem of this is different than the flange. So we use this for flange and we have a different limiting width to thickness ratio for stem of this. Okay, and that is 0.75 square root of E over Fy. So this is also found in the width to thickness ratio table. So 23 we compare with 18, 4.81 we compare with 13. So for flange, that is less than, and then for stem of this, that is greater than. So meaning D is slender and B is not slender. Okay? So next is we get the slenderness ratio. So again, we need to look at the effective length factor table. Okay. So in determining the slenderness ratio, KL over R, so we have to be careful. So if we're going to look at the problem, as you can see, there is a provided lateral support perpendicular to the y-axis. So meaning, it strengthens the section about y-axis. So therefore, when you evaluate the lengths, so the length of the column with respect to y-axis is reduced into half or by a factor of 2. So meaning, if L is 2 meters, so the length with respect to x-axis is 4, and the length with respect to y-axis is 2 meters. Okay? Yeah. So for x, we have 4, L is 4,000, and then K is 1.0 because as you can see again in our problem, they are pinned at both ends, and then the lateral support is also pinned. So for y-axis, for buckling about y-axis, the value of K is also 1.0. Okay? Ayan. So this is 1.0 times 4,000 divided by 143. And then for the slenderness ratio with respect to y, that is 1.0 times 2,000 divided by 65. So as you can see, the governing slenderness ratio is 30.766923077. Okay? Yeah. So therefore, that is the governing slenderness ratios. And by the way, we are computing for the limit state flexural buckling because for shapes having one axis of symmetry such as the T shape, so we are solving for two limit state if you remember that. So we will solve for flexural buckling and we will also solve for flexural torsional buckling. So we solve first for flexural buckling, okay? Yan. Okay, so let's compute the Euler's buckling stress or Euler's stress F sub E. That is pi squared E over the slenderness ratio squared. That is pi squared E. Then this is the governing slenderness ratio. We just square that. Therefore, we have F sub E equals 2084.95393 megapascal Let me correct that one. Okay. Wait. Yeah. So that is 2084. Okay. Next is we need to check the ratio of Fy over Fe, right? So what's the ratio of Fy over Fe? So obviously, if you'll think of it, since Fy is only 345, so it is much less than the Fe. So we are sure that Fy over Fe will be less than 1, right? Because 345, if you divide it by 2084 or even just you think of it, kasi mas mababa si 345 kay 2084, so most likely ang ratio nila less than 1. So if the ratio is less than 1.0, it also means that the ratio is less than 2.25. So therefore, the formula for FCR is 0.658 raised to Fy over Fe times Fy. So we substitute the given values. Therefore, we have FCR equals 321.9146198 megapascals. Okay. Okay, next. So once we have the FCR, we can now compute the effective area because if you can remember, we have a slender element. So we cannot just directly multiply FCR by AG to get the compressive strength kasi nga meron kang slender element. So meaning you have to compute for the effective area. Ayan. So in computing the compressive strength, we have FCR times AE. So we're going to compute again the effective dimension H sub E based on this either of these two formulas. So again, we will have a checking kung alin yung gagamitin natin dyan. Yan. So kailangan natin yan para makompute yung AE dito sa formula ng compressive strength kapag may slender elements. Di ba? Nagiging FCR times AE siya. And again, this is the table that we will use. Okay, but we have to be careful. Kanina, ang sinosolve natin HSS. So ngayon, ang sinosolve naman natin ay T-shape, no? But if you're going to look at the description of each cases, it is not explicitly stated that T-shape when you have T-shape elements, use A or use C. It is not stated. So we have to understand carefully the meaning of the description. Okay. So for T-shape, both for the T-shape, so both of the elements are unstiffened elements. Okay. The flange is unstiffened. The stem of D is also unstiffened. So therefore, if you're going to look at the cases, we cannot fall under case A because according to case A, it can only be applied to stiffened elements of all other cross sections aside from the HSS. So meaning if our problem is not on case A as well as case B because case B is only applicable to walls of square and rectangular HSS. So for T-shape, we will use case C for both of the flange and stem of this. But in this case, we will only deal with stem of this because that is only the slender element of our problem. Okay? So using condition B, so when you come to check or try to compute this, so we will fall under category B. Okay, so therefore this is the formula that we will use. So for T-shape, we will use the values of C1 and C2 from case C for all other elements. So therefore, C1 is 0.22 and C2 is 1.49. So with 1.49, we can use that to compute FEL. We have the same formula for FEL. So lambda sub r, this is the limiting width to thickness ratio for the T shape or for the stem of T's. And then lambda is the width to thickness ratio of the stem of T's. If you forgot that one, so we can recall that in, okay. So remember, the stem of this is the slender, ay sorry, sobra. The stem of T's is the slender element. So lambda is 23.8 and lambda sub r is 18. Okay? So now we can compute that. Yeah. So lambda sub r is 18 and then lambda is 23.8. So substitute in the given formula, we can compute for FEL, and that is equal to 440.93 megapascal. Okay, so we have C1, we have FEL, we have FCR. Therefore, we can now compute for each. We cannot, sorry. We can now compute for each. Okay, so we just substitute. So the stem of T is 462. Is that right? Wait, let me check. Yeah, 462 stem. And then, yeah, and then we substitute the FEL and the computed FCR. So remember, 321 is the computed FCR. Okay, so let's check this one. Try to compute first. And so let's compute this one. We have 401.483. Okay, so once we have this, so we can now compute for the effective area. So since we only have T, sh- one stem of T's, so meaning we don't need to multiply this by 2. So we have 462 minus 401 times the thickness of the stem of T's. This is the TW, 19.4. So let's check if that is correct. T sub W is 19.4. Yeah, it's correct. So next. Yeah, so we have AE. Let me just confirm the value of FAE. We have 7225.97258. Okay, so since we already have EE, we can now multiply this by the computed FCR earlier. So we have 321.91 times 17,225. Therefore, we have 5545 as the nominal strength. But we're not yet done. This is for the flexural backlink. So we still have to compute for the nominal strength for the limit state flexural torsional backlink. Okay, so next. We're done with flexural backlink. So we also have to compute for the nominal compressive strength based on flexural torsional backlink. Okay, so for flexural torsional backlink, the formula for Euler stress is this one. So Fe equals Fey plus Fez over 2h times what's in the bracket. So for T-shape, this is our formula. But if we're solving for channels, we will just replace Fey by Fex. Okay? But since we're solving T-shape, so let's just stick with this formula. So let's compute the Euler's, sorry, let us compute the Fey, that is the backlink stress with respect to y-axis. So pi squared E divided by the KL over R with respect to y. We have computed this before, if you can remember. The slenderness ratio for y is this one. We have computed this to be 30.766. So we will just use that. Okay. So that is pi squared times 200,000, and then this is the computed slenderness ratio with respect to y-axis. So therefore, the resulting value of FEY is 2085.266. So after that, we will compute FEZ. So this is the original formula for FEZ, but for T-shapes and double angles, we omit this term. We do not include this term when solving for FEZ, for T's and double angles. So that's why we will not use that. Therefore, the resulting FEC is only G times J divided by AG times R sub O squared. Okay, so we have FEC, which is 542.6475475 megapascals. So we now have FEZ. So we have FEY, we have FEZ, we have H. We can find H from the database. If not, there is a formula given in the code to compute for H. So we'll just use these values. So let's compute for this one. So FEY 2085, you substitute for FEY, then FEZ 542, and then for H, that is 0.688. Okay, so let me just compute the value. Okay, so we have 494.653.0662. Okay, so once you have FE, we can now compute for what you call this FY over FE. We can now compute for FY over FE. Okay, so we have wait let me provide the computation for FY over FE. Wait. So we have Fy over Fe. Okay, so we have Fy over Fe is 345 divided by Fe, that is 494. So we have 0.697. So since it is less than 2.25, therefore the formula for FCR to be used is 0.658 raised to Fy over Fe times Fy. And then substitute the value, we can now compute for the FCR, and that is 257.6553675 megapascal. Okay? So from here, again, we will compute the effective area because we have a slender element. So we will use this in determining the effective area. So we will use again this formula. So this part will not change because the slender element is still the this part will not change since the slender element is still T-shaped. So therefore this is the value of this is still the value of FEL, no? So hindi magbabago yung FEL. But magbabago yung HE natin because we have a different FCR for the limit state flexural torsional backlink, no? So kanina nag-compute tayo nito pero para sa limit state na flexural backlink. This time kokomputin ulit natin siya because ang limit state na kino-compute mo is flexural torsional backlink naman. Okay, so we just substitute 440 and then for FCR we substitute for 257. Therefore we have HE equals 430. So from that, we can now compute the effective area. So 18,400 minus 462 minus this HE times the thickness 19.4. Therefore, we have 17,787.70059. Okay, so from that, we can now compute. We have 17,787.70059. So from this AE, we just multiply this AE by FCR. Ayan, so we have, so multiply AE by FCR, we have 257 times 17,787. Therefore, we have 4583.6 0.096534 kilonewton. Okay? So, as you can see, we have two computed nominal strength. But of course, syempre, hindi pwedeng dalawa ang sagot. So, we will only choose the smaller value between the two. So, for flexural buckling, ang na-compute nating PN is, five 5545, no? Mataas. So, mas mababa yung nakuha natin sa flexural torsional buckling. So, therefore, this value governs for the nominal compressive strength. Okay? Yan.